Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our weekly recap of all things Injustice. This is for the week of April 25th, 2024. The current character challenge is Classic Scorpion. That is a 1 week repeat. The required characters are Nightwing, Catwoman, and Aquaman, who are bronze, and challenge or multiplayer gold exclusively. If you're looking at the lowest tier, you can get each of them. The passive is Fire of Hell, which is Scorpion summons Fire of Hell around him for 10 seconds after tag-in. It reflects half the special damage back at the opponent and inflicts fire damage over 6 seconds. And the second part of the ability is that Scorpion is immune to fire.
I'd say that was a third. I mean, it's 2 seconds. This is where I get...
I guess so. It's Fire of Hell is one thing that does two things.
Right. Yeah, so you reflect the special damage and you inflict fire damage over 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So it always bugged me how they split up the sentences so that they not...
It's not clear.
Yeah. So anyways,
so he's got 1,400 attack, 1,200 health, and was last available on the 29th of June, 2023.
Right. So this is a good point. When we talked about Mortal Kombat Scorpion in our weekly Q&A just a couple of days ago, Mortal Kombat Scorpion's got 950 attack and 850 health. Classic Scorpion's got 1,300 attack and 1,350 health.
Yeah.
1,400 and 1,200. Sorry, 1,400 and 1,200. So really high stats, right? Super high stats. Let me just check, make sure I'm not screwing up because I took notes. 1,400 and 1,200 from the base. So that's ridiculous compared to Mortal Kombat Scorpion. So as a defensive passive, Fire of Hell is not bad. Comparing it to the most common damage reflection we see, 50% reflection is better than Flashpoint Aquaman's reflecting 40%. But it's a bit of a compromise. 10 seconds after tag-in is worse than Flashpoint Aquaman's, which lasts until the first special.
Yeah.
Because in actual fights, you are unlikely to face more than one special in the first 10 seconds, which means at most it will trigger once, and there's a decent chance that you won't get hit with a special in that first 10 seconds anyways. The reverse is true because when we're facing them, we're smarter than the AI, so we really plan on inflicting his maximum damage with our specials. So giving fire damage over time is good. It's only a problem if you face a Blackest Night Flash team. And immune to fire is okay, but only useful in very specific situations. And since we have a point of comparison with Blackest Night Flash, wouldn't it be so much better, a passive, if instead of just being immune from fire damage, it gave him power or it gave him health or even both? Right? Which is what Blackest Night Flash does. And it's not even... He gets it not only for fire, he gets it for every kind of damage over time.
Yeah.
And so I want to say all the Scorpions used to be slow on basics, and now that I've been playing with both of these Scorpions this week, they both feel a little bit quicker, so I wonder if they buffed him. Definitely easier to use. He's got a really interesting thing with his basics, which in this meta don't matter, but it's still interesting. So he's got the double hit on tap combo ender, which is not uncommon, but that on his swipe combo, there's about a half a chance that the third hit doesn't engage, and you just start a new swipe combo.
Yeah.
So his swipe combo could be 3 hits, right? Swipe, swipe, swipe. Or it could be 5, or it could be 7, or it could be 9. With, it's much less likely.
Sometimes it just keeps going.
Yeah, but it's very unlikely because there's only about a half a chance on each one.
So it goes like 50 to 25% to 12.5% to 7.5%. And yeah. But, still, anything over sort of that like 5 hits, right, is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what else. I mean, I haven't played with Scorpions for a long time because of his slow basics. And I acknowledge that it doesn't entirely make sense to avoid him because his basics are slow. Because the game relies so much on specials. We're using him as a specialist. But sometimes I like to still have basics on hand because for whatever reason, if you get stuck, right? If there's a Quake Engine on a Joker, if you're just, for whatever reason, you can't tag him out right away.
It's nice to have both, even though usually you don't need both.
Right. Instead of blocking. Blocking kills time too, but if you can do basics, you're doing damage and they can't hit you at the same time. It's better than blocking if you can hit them unblocked. So I was mentioning, I really do hate facing them because our teams rely so much on specials.
Yeah, you kind of just have to wait it out or take damage, and neither of them feel great.
Right. So what's interesting about him, all right, so his special 2 has 3 main animations. There's the fire thing where he holds up his arms and then he pops out of the ground. And then he throws his weapon on a chain. I believe it's I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. Kusarigama.
Yeah.
It's the thing on the chain. Then he pulls his opponent close with the chain, and then he does an uppercut. So its main three parts is the pop out, the chain, and then the uppercut. So unlike some other high stat challenge characters, he can knock out the opponent with more than just the last hit, but he cannot do it during the Kusarigama.
Mm-hmm.
So that means he can knock them out with the first animation when he pops out of the ground, and then he can finish them on the last hit.
Mm-hmm.
But he loses his finishing uppercut if the opponent blocks. And because the uppercut does, I think, about 2/5 of the damage of the special 2, the first part does 2/5 of the damage, and the weapon does 1/5. For practical purposes, a lot of the time, most of the time, I'll say, he's effectively the same as the other characters who can only knock them out on the last hit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's otherwise he's not doing anything. Like, there's a protective advantage of having the animation, even if it does no damage, if the animation of his special finishes on the next opponent. So you lose out on that, which is why we're using Enchantress Companion Gear on him, because it's a great third gear on a special specialist who is vulnerable to opponents tagging in.
Mm-hmm.
And I started trying with Claw of Horus. I tried some with Quake Engine, because you think, okay, so Scorpion, even NetherRealm Kama, right? You get the advantages of those gears, but nothing really compares to Enchantress. It means dealing with Astral Harness is slower than if you had Claw of Horus. We've moved it onto Rebirth Raven because it's less effective on her without Master's Death card to leverage and strip all the gears off with one special one. But it feels like it works a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Because it buys us a little bit of time. What I love about Scorpion, this Scorpion, Classic Scorpion, is that his special 2 is fully ranged. So you can go ahead and drop a special 2 immediately if you have the power to do it, and the opponent is not blocking. And, when he's taking the hits from Master's Death card, so they're not blocking, mm-hmm. It's perfect. So as a bonus at the end of this video, I'm going to show you some footage of a couple Scorpion fights that are really weird, and I wouldn't mind if people commented if they're seeing a lot more weird behavior, because it feels like this is relatively new. So one of them, Scorpion tries to tag out. It doesn't look like he does. The animation for the opponent's super is Scorpion getting the crap beaten out of him, and then it's Rebirth Raven, who we were trying to tag in, who actually gets knocked out. Yeah, which is weird. I've never seen that in all the games that I've played. Mm-hmm. Maybe I just haven't noticed, but it just feels like it's weird that it happens. It's rarer than simultaneous supers, actually. The second thing that I'm going to stick at the end of this video is that Scorpion finishes Deadshot with the Enchantress Skulls as he's doing another Special 2. So the first part of Scorpion's Special 2 finishes. Enchantress Gear, the skulls from it land. Deadshot gets knocked out. He's the last opponent. We win the fight, right? Mm-hmm. As the chains come flying through, doesn't Deadshot pop up again and run towards us?
Very strange, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, if you've got some weird stuff happening, let us know in the comments, okay?
Yeah, so there we go. Based off of a challenge cycle pattern that's been running for a very long time, we expect next week to be Red Sun Green Lantern. And we have some new information that we thought might be useful. That we are going to start including, hopefully, on an ongoing basis.
So I guess technically it's not new information. It's just that we're going to do something new.
It's information that's in this video for the first time.
Right.
So we, obviously have the information on who's coming up next, but we also have the information on what their challenge requirements are. Yeah. And so we're going to start giving the information out. And, that can be especially helpful to if you feel like you want to earn whoever you're going to need next, especially if you're a newer player. It sort of gives you a goal. Yeah. And so next week we expect to see Red Sun Green Lantern, and the required characters for that challenge are Lex Luthor, Joker, and Catwoman, who you can get at bronze, silver, and bronze respectively.
Right.
So if you're a newer player and you have maybe a couple gold characters, this is a great opportunity to, if you don't have a Lex Luthor, Joker, and Catwoman, save up and buy one of each of them, right? Now you know your sort of next purchasing goal.
Yeah, and I think as a sneak preview of our Q&A, I think we should plan to talk a little bit about
challenge requirements.
Yeah, the challenge requirements that are not bronze and not silver, who are cheap, and some of the golds and some of the challenge golds that are required.
Yeah, just the way that they stack up and how hard on average a challenge is to complete.
Right.
Just on the pure requirements level. Okay, anyways, this week's multiplayer reward is Suicide Squad Joker Unhinged. His passive is Unhinged, and that reads, the Joker can't wait to show you his toys. A powerful random effect will occur on his special one. After Joker defeats an opponent team member, he drives them insane and they will fight for you with reduced health. Can be triggered twice if using a team of 3 Suicide Squad characters. He's got 1,400 attack, 1,300 health. And just reading this, I'm realizing how much potentially problematic language there is in this whole passive.
Yes.
All talking about being unhinged and insane and whatever, and
right.
I don't know. Anyways, next week we expect to see the overpowered super gear.
Yeah. So, despite having super high stats, this is worse than a card with no passive. This passive is actually detrimental to fights. This is like Kano in the Mortal Kombat one, who has that passive where his passive is that he's cheap to buy. Remember from...
Yeah.
But this is worse than that, because I would rather Unhinged Joker had no passive. So when a card is driven, quote unquote, insane by his passive, it has no passive, has no gear effects. You get only 1/3 of the health. If you are fighting weaker opponents, it's harder. It slows down farming because when you're using Joker, if you're actually using Joker, you temporarily replace him with a weaker card unless you have literally no gears. Mm-hmm. 0 gear effects. All right, so decreased damage output means a slower fight, which gives your opponent a chance to build up some power. That's just crap. So, what is it? Random effect on special 1. Poison, power drain, power gain, life drain. I'm not a big fan of random effects on offense.
Yeah, because you can't really plan around them. Power drain, you want to do sometimes, but not all the time.
Right.
Poison, life drain, all these things, they're situationally useful.
Right.
And so if you can't choose which one you use, a lot of time it's not going to be the one that you want. And so essentially you get like a little bit extra, but it's not always extra damage, right? It's not damage over time for most of it. So most of the time you don't really notice it. And it's as likely to be kind of useless to you as it is to be helpful to you.
Right.
Not necessarily exactly equally as likely, but most of the time it's not going to make a difference in your fight.
Right. And so there's one specific use case where if circumstances are perfect, you're in Survivor facing much more powerful opponents, and you can time it perfectly so that someone else does all the work but Unhinged gets a knockout. He could be useful, having the stats of a much higher powered opponent. I mean, he could be a meat shield potentially too, but the timing of it is not... You have no control over it, and most of the time we don't need a meat shield.
Yeah.
And if you tag out... The advantage of meat shields, part of it lies in being able to tag them in and out.
Mm-hmm. There are better, more consistent tanks. Yeah. Pretty much whatever you want him for, except for in Survivor, there's somebody better. And even in Survivor, I would say that Soul Taker Sword is essentially doing a similar thing, but better. Yeah.
His only saving grace is that he's helpful to Suicide Squad Harley Quinn if you don't have the regular, better Suicide Squad Joker, who not only has similar stats, and an actually useful passive instead of a passive that makes him worse.
Yeah.
So the other Joker has a passive where he also gets a random effect on special 1, but he gets 10% less damage and deals 10% more damage for each Suicide Squad member on his team. And either Suicide Squad Joker can come in and attack during Suicide Squad Harley Quinn Special 2 if you pick the Joker card.
Yeah.
So he's an okay fallback if you don't have the better Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there we go. Moving on to the store, we have the Gaslight Batman pack for $24.99. That's Canadian dollars, all the prices in Canadian, because that's the information we have access to in Canada.
So what's weird is normally, all right, so Red Lantern Hal Jordan, who we expect based on schedule, Red Sun Green Lantern. Oh God, they're both red.
Yeah.
Red Sun Green Lantern, who's supposed to be on the schedule, the next challenge character, usually has he doesn't have his own pack, so he's usually some Green Lantern pack come up.
It's Gaslight Batman is a little strange, yeah.
So this is not a corroborating clue, but it's maybe... I mean, is there a possibility that somebody's at the wheel making some adjustments and doing some changes to the channel cycle?
We will see next week.
Yeah.
If it is, it'll be an unfortunate time to add new information.
Yeah, because Gaslight Batman was one of our missing challenge characters. So this is actually a weird sort of convergence where we've been doing the season... in our Q&A, our season of Lost Challenge characters.
Yeah.
And then this is the season during which the Lost Challenge characters come back.
if it happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully. That would be really nice, but we'll have to wait and see for next week.
Yeah.
Yep. We also have the Ultimate Bundle Bringers of Justice. That's $124.99.
Canadian.
It says it contains 10 of the best heroes. And what it really means by that is it comes with New 52 Superman, Dawn of Justice Batman, Dawn of Justice Wonder Woman, Injustice 2 Aquaman, Earth 2 The Flash, Yellow Lantern Hal Jordan, Martian Manhunter, Rebirth Green Arrow, Earth 2 Hawkgirl, and Arkham Knight Batgirl. Those are all challenges except for Batman. That's
Dawn of Justice
Batman, who used to be a random draw.
Right. Harder to get. It's actually harder to get than a challenge character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we also have the Ultimate Bundle Villains and Monsters. It's the same price. That's $124.99. It says it contains 10 of the best villains. And what it means by that is Arkham Origins Bane, Kondak Black Adam, Arkham Knight Catwoman, Apocalypse Darkseid, Suicide Squad Deadshot, Flashpoint Deathstroke, Blackest Night Doomsday, Red Lantern Hal Jordan, Suicide Squad Harley Quinn, and Suicide Squad The Joker Unhinged. And so some of those are multiplayer exclusives. That's Doomsday, Deathstroke, and The Joker Unhinged.
Yeah. Yeah. Too expensive.
Yeah.
Justice League pack there for a second week. We talked about it a bunch last time. And a bunch of other packs that are old news. More than 2 years.
Yeah. Phantom Zone is finished. Fight 62 is still broken. Last weekend's breakthrough for golds was Catwoman, Deathstroke, and Raven. This weekend's should be Cyborg, Batgirl, and Black Adam.
So there's a link in the description to a thread in the Injustice Mobile subreddit from Devlin16 that goes over the complete breakthrough cycle. And this is where we usually talk about current glitches. We go into more detail every time something significant changes, which did not happen this week. But even if nothing changes, we still do a more detailed review once a month, the first week of every month. Most recently, that was our recap from April the 4th. And you can also see a video tutorial for every working glitch in our playlist, Current Working Glitches, linked in the description of this video. Mm-hmm. The main thing worth mentioning that's not in that list is that the challenge reset glitch has been confirmed to be working on this week's Classic Scorpion challenge.
So there we go. To finish up, we'd like to give a huge thank you to all of our lovely patrons on Patreon. That's Michael Devries, Irvin, Ruiz, Hoshi127, and Nora Klimek on the credited level, as well as 5x5 on the gratitude tier. So thank you so much for your continued support, and thanks so much to all of you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.